Paper Rocket Adventure. In the middle of Maple Street, where the houses all looked the same and the sidewalks shimmered under the afternoon sun, four friends had an idea so big it hardly fit inside their heads. Mia, the thinker with hair full of barrettes, Liam, who loved to draw and always carried pencils in his pockets, Zoe, the bold one who never said no to anything, and Oliver, they were the quietest of the bunch, but whose eyes sparkled whenever they dreamed up something new. It started on a Saturday morning, when they gathered in Mia's backyard, staring at a pile of cardboard boxes left over from her parents' new furniture. "What if," Mia whispered, "we build a rocket?" Liam's eyes lit up like two stars. "A real rocket?" he asked, even though he knew the answer. "Not real," said Zoe, who had already dragged a box into the middle of the yard. "But it can be real enough for us." Oliver nodded, running his hand over the corrugated cardboard. "Let's do it," he murmured. They worked for hours under the bright sky. Liam drew windows and control panels on the inside walls. Mia cut fins out of an old cereal box and glued them to the sides. Zoe painted swirls of orange and silver on the outside so it would look fast, even standing still. Oliver taped and taped, making sure every flap stayed closed and every seam was smooth. When the sun began to slide behind the rooftops, they stepped back and admired their rocket. It was taller than any of them, with 3 boxy stages stacked together and a long cardboard cone for the tip. "We need a name," Mia declared, brushing paint off her hands. They argued over it until Liam shouted, "Paper Star!" Everyone agreed instantly. Paper Star it was. The next day, they climbed inside. It smelled like glue and paint, and the floor felt bumpy under their feet. Liam took the captain's seat, an old folding chair. Mia was the navigator. Zoe was the engineer. And Oliver, sitting in the back with a flashlight, became the scientist. They counted down, voices trembling with excitement. 3, 2, 1, blast off. At first, nothing happened. Then, something strange stirred around them. The cardboard walls shimmered. The painted stars on the ceiling seemed to twinkle for real. The rocket rumbled softly, like a purr turning into a growl. The children squeezed their eyes shut, and when they opened them, the backyard was gone. They floated among endless darkness, sprinkled with stars so bright and close, they looked like sugar on black velvet. Planets of every color and shape drifted around them. Some were striped like candies, others glowed like fireflies. The rocket felt alive, gently humming as it drifted through space. "Look!" cried Mia, pointing through the window Liam had drawn. A giant purple planet loomed ahead, rings swirling around it like spun glass. They steered closer, hearts beating wildly. As they passed, a breeze of stardust brushed against their rocket, painting it with sparkles that danced in the paper grain. Next, they found a tiny planet no bigger than a soccer ball, glowing bright green. "Let's land," Zoe decided. The rocket listened o'er so it felt and set them down softly. The kids tumbled out into soft, springy moss that smelled of mint and lemons. Little creatures hopped around on 3 legs, chirping and blinking their big yellow eyes. Oliver bent down to say hello, and the creatures bounced away, trailing giggles that floated like bubbles in the air. They explored the planet, finding rivers that shimmered like melted jewels and trees shaped like spirals, their leaves whispering secrets in a language the kids almost understood. They picked up pebbles that felt lighter than air and tucked them in their pockets to remember the place by. When they climbed back aboard Paper Star, the rocket lifted off, eager to see what lay beyond. They drifted past a silver moon where clouds formed faces that winked as they passed. They flew through a field of floating flowers with petals of glass, and each flower rang a tiny bell when the rocket brushed by. They reached a planet covered in tall blue grass. As they floated above, the grass rippled, spelling words in huge swirling letters. "Welcome, friends." Liam drew the letters in his notebook, trying to copy them perfectly, while Mia wondered aloud who had written them. The planet didn't answer, but the grass kept dancing, as if happy they had come. Farther on, They found a planet that was completely dark. At first, they saw nothing but shadows, but when Zoe shone Oliver's flashlight out the window, the darkness shimmered back, showing millions of hidden shapes, towers of crystal, caves glowing deep blue, and rivers running silver. The kids gasped, hearts full of wonder, feeling small and brave all at once. For what felt like hours or maybe days, they soared through this universe of color and song. Sometimes, they laughed so hard the rocket shook. Sometimes, they grew quiet, just watching. Stars zipped by, leaving trails of rainbow mist. Comets waved tails of fire, and Paper Star gently steered to keep them safe. Then, as they drifted near a red and gold planet, shaped like a teardrop, Mia sighed. "Do you think it's time to go home?" Nobody answered right away. They didn't want to leave, but Liam finally nodded, and Oliver, staring at the fading starlight, whispered, "Let's go." Mia traced a circle on the wall, the same way she had when they'd first launched. The rocket seemed to understand. It turned, folding its paper fins, and the universe outside started to blur. Colors swirled together like paint in water, faster and faster until the children squeezed their eyes shut again. When they opened them, they were back in Mia's backyard. The paint on the rocket had dried and cracked. The cardboard felt stiff, and the sparkles of stardust had vanished. But their pockets were still full of tiny pebbles that felt strangely light, and Liam's notebook still had pages of strange letters and shapes they'd seen. They sat in the quiet yard for a long time, listening to the breeze and the leaves. The sun had dipped low, painting the sky orange and pink. Finally, Zoe said, "Do you think it really happened?" Oliver smiled, eyes shining. "Of course it did," he said. Mia nodded, touching the paper wall. "And maybe," she added softly, "we could go again." The others grinned. Because even if it had been a dream or even if the magic had faded for now, they knew something true in their hearts, that Paper Star was theirs, and adventure could begin again anytime they dared to imagine. So they sat there until the first evening stars blinked awake, telling stories of the worlds they'd seen, making plans for new ones, and knowing that as long as they had each other and a rocket made of cardboard and paper, the universe would always be theirs to explore. And if you had walked by that backyard just then, you might have seen 4 kids sitting beside a tall cardboard rocket, eyes bright with wonder, and you might have guessed, just maybe, that the greatest adventures sometimes start with a simple idea, a splash of paint, and a sky full of dreams.